life shifts and changes. And welcome, Kim. Welcome, Shakara. I was had a thought that I was able to minister a funeral last week, and it was not someone I knew. You know, sometimes as a pastor, you have connections to other pastors, and you'll have funeral homes that reach out and say, "Hey, would you be available?" And through a friend of a friend, they reached out. They reached out and they couldn't do it and asked if I'd be available. And I said, sure. Anything I can do to help a family in need. I would never want anyone to feel like there were just no one there, although they didn't have anybody specific. So I reached out to the family and connected with them. And I didn't know that I needed to preach this funeral as much as they needed me to preach it. And it was interesting. The As I began to share with her the story of this man's life, he was 58 when he passed. But at the age of 21, had the world at his fingerprints, really, talking to a room full of entrepreneurs, kind of there in that same place. He had started a business, upholstering cars and things like that, and was well on his way. And he, at the age of 21, had a life-threatening car wreck that paralyzed him from the waist down. Now, for a lot of people, I've witnessed it through the years. People have gone through that, and really, it just shuts their whole life down. The rest of their life is in a place of misery, disappointment, all the things. Why me? Why me? Why me? And to hear the story of this man, it took him 6 to 8 weeks to get his head wrapped around it, to get out of the hospital, and to shift his business from upholstering cars to now rehabilitating cars to allow people just like him in wheelchairs to be able to use them. Like, he's like, it took 6 to 8 weeks. That's 2 months. And that's all it took for this man to say, I refuse to let this define me. I refuse to be told that I'm just a cripple, that I'll never be anything else. I'm going to take this and make purpose out of it. So he began to launch this business out, which was called Paradapt, that began to adapt these cars to fit people just like him. But this wasn't the end of it. Slowly, he began to develop even more beyond that. He bought a boat and outfitted this so he could take disabled veterans out fishing. He actually ended up 2 different boats that he did this. He had a shooting range that was equipped just for. So he began to work with these disabled veterans who come back, serving their country, come back, and not only giving them a car. There was a newspaper article that she sent me of a 16-year-old young man who had had a similar car wreck, or a similar accident. I don't think it was a car wreck, but a similar accident from the waist down. And his first car was given to him by Gary after he adapted this car to fit him. So imagine that as a 16-year-old, your first car, you really feel like you're never going to drive. And then a car is just gifted you as your first car, outfitted where you could drive it. Like, just a heart to serve people. But at the end of his life, after all this, so from 21 to 58, he'd done all these amazing things. He started this organization, all this. The week that he was on his deathbed, his last couple of days, he called his brother in and he said, out of all the good things I've done, I don't know what the status of my soul is.